years. I mean, through the ups and downs in the industry and, doing pretty well, I thought at the time, making $38,000 a year, living the life. But I realized kind of at that point, like, I didn't understand why I did all the work and loan officers made all the money. So if you can't beat them, join them.
All right.
And I got a ton of pushback from the guys that I worked for at the time. I didn't work for you yet, but got a ton of pushback. I was a really, really good processor. I'm just very operationally driven, great with systems, processes, and procedures, and not super salesy. But I mean, if you know the product and it's numbers don't lie. So I guess that's one thing that I wasn't as scared. But ultimately, the guys that I worked for basically would not let me be an originator. It wasn't going to happen. Like, they didn't want me to get licensed, didn't want anything. So one day I actually got an email from Agent Mastermind into the processor that I was working for while she was out on maternity, an email to come to an event in Tampa, Florida. And I had just moved to Florida, and I was like, okay, well, that's only like an hour and a half away from me. And I think it was like $99. And I was like, okay, I can afford that. Like, I can do that. So I signed up and I went to the event, and that's where I actually met Scotty and quite a few other people in this industry.
Yeah, that's so cool. I'm so glad. So here's the crazy part that you didn't say is you were covering for the person that received the email as a processor, correct?
Correct. Absolutely.
We might have never met if you weren't covering her, and somehow her email got into my email database. So
which was probably just mainly originator. So how a processor was in there anyway,
I have no clue, but I'm so glad that you were covering her that day, because it's been an epic ride to watch you soar. So how does so you said, all right, if I can't beat them, join them. I was making like massive money, 38,000 a year, and you're like, what is that? One loan every quarter? Like, if I can't get one loan every quarter, like, what the heck? So how did you overcome that fear? And not only that, Kristen, you didn't even share the best part. You're moving from one state to another state, knew no one.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, so how did you enter into the LO space, and what did you do to get into, like, build relationships and all kinds of fun stuff like that? I love this story.
Well, ultimately, I tried to figure out like what the market needed or what the market didn't have. And being in Central Florida, we have a huge older adult population, and I had processed several reverse mortgages, and I didn't see really anybody outside of the villages marketing for reverse mortgages for purchase. So I created a reverse mortgage presentation and just started calling the brokerages. Can I come in and do, a lunch and learn, a breakfast, one of your things, and talk about buying with a reverse mortgage? And it was like a foreign language. Everybody was like, what? You can buy a house with a reverse mortgage? Seriously? So it was a really easy way to enter. And I mean, within a couple of weeks, I probably had 5 or 6 presentations scheduled, which, again, for somebody that's behind 2 computer screens, like, it was a lot, but it was exciting. And it really, I mean, at this point, because I had 38,000, making $38,000, I didn't have a ton of money to like do big lunch and learns or take in extravagant things. A friend of mine owned a blueberry farm. So I would actually go and pick the blueberries and then make blueberry cobbler and take it. And that's what I served.
You brought that to one of the events, by the way. I
did.
Do remember you bringing that. That was so good. So anytime you want to bring that to any of our events, I'm all open. I'll even help you go pick the blueberries.
Yeah, I picked the blueberries, made it with love. But so I got some traction through those. And I mean, I learned a lot through Agent Mastermind with making sure that at the end of every class, like, you get, your report card done. And so you have ways to follow up and what did you like, what did you not like type of things. So at that point, like I said, I was gaining a little bit of traction, getting some appointments set, doing really well. I was still the reverse mortgage loan officer at the time, so I wasn't really a threat to other loan officers either. So I started getting phone calls from like the Watson Mortgages of the world or the lenders inside of Keller Williams asking me to come in and present to their agents the reverse mortgage presentation.
Wow.
To add value to their agents. And really, kind of at the end of the day, when people know you, like you, and trust you, they'll figure out what you do. So at that point, I'm on my coffee appointments or my appointments with them and, going into asking about mortgages and, do you do regular purchases? Can you do regular purchases? Absolutely. Here's that business card.
No, wait. I just want to clarify because I was waiting for you to say this. In one pocket, you had reverse card that only said, I do reverse purchase, reverse mortgage, whatever.
First Financial Reverse, yes.
What was it called?
First Financial Reverse.
First Financial Reverse. And then, and I love what you said. Once they find out who you are and what you do, they'll come and ask other stuff. And then the other pocket, you had forward mortgage.
Correct.
And so, like, my question, and I asked this because we talk about this almost on a daily. You, some way, shape, or form, overcame the fear of presenting.
Correct.
And I'll just share, like, I know your disc profile. It's not one that warrants presenting in front of a group or one-on-one, no problem. But it doesn't warrant it. So how for everybody on this call, how did you was it because your back's against the wall and I don't have a choice? Like, what was it that allowed you to put yourself out there regardless of the outcome?
So really, at the end of the day, the guys I worked for told me that I would never make it as an originator, that I would probably be working at Publix or something of that nature to even just provide for my kids. And so at that point, like, I just had to prove myself right and everybody else wrong. Because I guess when you have a mommy that has to provide for her children, like, you're not going to stop until you succeed.
You know what's funny is I'm the one. So I'm the one. I tried to get her to come on board as a processor. She's like, no, and I go, okay, and and just full transparency. I've never done it since. If someone's a processor and they want to be a loan officer, I literally say, could you make a phone call to Kristen? And I say, Kristen, could you just have a call with her? Tell me if she's going to make it or not, because I don't want to do it. And there's been many where you said, nope, not going to make it. So you overcame the fear. You jumped in the fire. You went and presented. Was it a 15-minute, 30-minute, 45-minute? Like, what kind of presentation? Like, how long?
The presentation itself lasted about 30 to 35 minutes. We'd get there and kind of do like a little opening question and answer, who you are, what you do type of thing, 25 to 30 minutes of a presentation. And then I always left questions at the end. The question section or session always lasted at least 30 minutes. Like, it prompted so many questions that, I mean, it just sparked curiosity and interest in everybody, because again, although reverse mortgages aren't new and they weren't new 12 years ago when I broke into my market, nobody was doing them. And I still don't see very many, or, unless you're watching daytime TV, you don't see very much marketing for them.
That's awesome. So with that said, like, I remember the trajectory, and I want to preface this because it's so valuable. You put yourself out there. You're like, what was the month you closed? I think it was 32, 36 or 38. It wasn't much into your career. You had 38 that year.
My first full year, I made $57,000. It wasn't great, but it was $20,000 more than I had made in my best year as a processor. So I was living the dream at that point in time. The next year, I made $330,000. And then the next year I made 750. And then, I mean, I've had years, which wasn't hard in some of the years, that it did make over 7 figures. And the funny thing is, to this day, I still have yet to close one reverse mortgage.
I was going to ask you, have you closed one? So
No.
listen, you guys listening to this? She presents on reverse purchase, talks about, like I always say, you sell what you talk about, but that's not the case here. So do people refer you reverses and they just decide not to do it? Or like, are you, because you called me about a month ago and you're like, I don't think I'm going to be able to say that anymore.
So yeah, people, I do get some referrals and we talk to them, and I have put some people through the HECM counseling that has to be done before application, but oftentimes we usually come up with a different solution that works better for them and their families.
Very cool.
Because every situation's unique and different. And again, I'm not trying to not sell them. I mean, there's a ton of money in reverse mortgages. So again, it's not something that I'm against or whatever. It's just worked out that I still, to this day, 12 years and 4 months later, have not closed.
Unbelievable. Rick, congratulations. Rick Masnick says, I'm closing my second reverse mortgage in 2 months today.
Good money.
Oh, congratulations, Rick. That's awesome. So what else, as the loan officer, you did other things. Can you share with us what else you did to involve yourself in a city where you knew no one? What else did you do?
So I got really heavily involved in our Chamber of Commerce, which I know a lot of people say that that's not the best use of loan officers' times. I will have to agree to disagree on that one. I'm in a pretty small, tight, close-knit community that's big enough. It's not like I live in a tiny town, but it's also not Metro Orlando either. So we have a very active chamber, and I went to as many events as I possibly could to get myself out there. So really over the years, I've become the community lender. I'm on the board of directors of the chamber. I'm just very actively involved. And when I first started, because I did take on the DSP, or the Daily Success Plan, I mean, one of the things in there is, you're calling your database, you're doing your handwritten notes. Well, I didn't have a database as a processor, and I'm in a town, like I don't really know anybody. So who am I writing handwritten notes to? So it started being like writing notes to my children's pediatrician after they saw them, or just different people through in the chamber, within the community, realtors, really just put myself out there, because not only did I need business, I needed friends too. Because I didn't know anybody and I didn't have any family here.
Unbelievable, man. Congratulations. Yeah, that's cool. That's so epic. So back to the basics. So really what you did is you just did exactly the DSP, connect, engage, interact. You had to force yourself to find somebody to do stuff with because you knew no one. So you just started just doing, and then as far as other community stuff, I know we went to an event with you that you were a big part of, that you won actually when I was there. That was pretty cool, really cool. Yeah, let's go. So it was a dance contest. So I think Eugene and I were both there and cheering you on, and it was a charity event. But was that something you involved yourself in to get to know people, or like what, because that was, I mean, like here you are, like a processor behind a desk, 2 monitors, and now you're up on stage presenting to real estate agents, and then you're in a dance contest in front of a whole audience of, like, I think it was wasn't it a tuxedo type?
Yeah, it was. It was Dancing Under the Stars. So think Dancing Under the Stars, but on a community level. And so the stars are people within the community. So I was a chosen star. So that charity is one that's very near and dear to my heart. It's New Beginnings, but ultimately at the end, they give families a hand up, not a handout. So if somebody comes across hard times, whether it be food, nutrition, housing, whatever little assistance that they can provide, resume writing, whatever. So it's a community that's a charity that's very near and dear to my heart. I've been involved with them for the last 10 years, but I pick charities that I align with, and I can't do every charity, because if we did, I mean, we could legitimately be broke donating money to everything. But I do pick a few charities every year that align with my core values and really put my all into what I can do within that community to help out. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome, my friend. So if you had to do it all over again, would you do anything different? Like, I'm going to drop you in a city again where you know no one, and I mean, you would do the exact same thing.
It was so easy. And again, reverse mortgage for purchases may not be as big of a deal in every community as they are in Florida, but as we are an aging population, and I mean, baby boomers are all starting to turn 62 or older. It's a huge demographic that has a great place in our marketplace and very underutilized for sure.
Yeah. And are you still doing those presentations, or I don't even know? Are you still?
Well, so I
Yeah.
stopped for a little bit because I got so busy.
Yeah.
Which is silly. You never stop, right? You should keep doing what's working. But I do have 3 scheduled coming up in the next 2 months.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
and I'm going to turn those into like virtual presentations and do some other stuff that we've talked about to really
Yeah.
get that out there and capitalize on the markets that I'm not physically present in every day.
Yeah. And hey, Devin, get this. Hey, Kristen, what's your best year? You ready for this?
As far as dollar units, volume, it was 125,547 units.
Boom.
Who can say that? Not top 1%, right?
That's amazing. It's amazing.
Amazing.
You know what I also heard, you're talking about, going in with the Trojan horse of, hey, let's talk about reverse purchases. We had another gentleman on the show a couple of months back, Adam Neft. He had a very similar strategy. He was approaching financial planners with, I think it was a DSCR or bank statement loan. Now, he's done a few of those, but that was, again, it was just hey, this is what I specialize in. And then it led to all the other business that he's doing today. Right. So, guys, listen to this, right? In fact, I think we've all heard the story. Yeah, I'm a doctor specialist. I'm a mechanic specialist. I'm a nurse specialist, right? Like, come up with your specialty and, get out there and promote yourself as that. And you're going to find a lot of opportunity.
What would you tell somebody that's trying to, because we talked about this heavy yesterday on the call about putting yourself out there, doing presentations. And FYI, we're starting Agent Mastermind back up tomorrow. So super excited about that. So that's back in the saddle. So what would you like? How do you help someone get over that fear of, well, what if they ask me this question, or how do you overcome that fear of jumping on stage and doing that presentation like you did? Would you have any advice for that? Because I know maybe it wasn't hard for you. Maybe it's like, man, I'm just doing it.
Well, again, it was super hard and uncomfortable, but the best things happen outside of our comfort zone. So I guess at that point, it was just really a good vision of the future and what I wanted. And I knew that it was a stepping stone to getting me there, is really what it took. But I'm still going to have the days, even today, after I've done probably 60 to 70 of them, where I would be nervous and my hands would be sweaty and I would be shaky and maybe I won't know all the answers, but nobody wants you to have all of the answers. They just want you to be honest. And then if you don't know the answers, say, I don't know, but I'll get back to you. And it's just another reason to touch them later.
Just that easy.
Scott, we got a question in the chat.
Yeah.
Can you talk about your team and the team responsibilities? So the folks behind you, what do they do?
Gotcha. So my team today versus what my team looked like in 2021 and 2022 are completely different. I mean, the market's a little bit different. But ultimately, I have a loan processor that does nothing but processing duties. So she is not talking to my clients. She is not doing any of that stuff. She is legitimately taking the file from contract to close. I have a loan partner. So they help me in the pre-approval stage. So basically setting the file up, getting it ready to put on a T for me. So they're gathering the documents, making sure the application's filled out correctly, that kind of stuff. They're scheduling the appointment for me and the client when I review the loan file. I do review every single loan file that comes in that my name is on. So I'm doing every single pre-approval, every refinance proposal. I know I'm crazy. It is what it is, but a world when you're only as good as your last deal, and having the operational background that I have, I can handle that even at 547 units in 1 year.
You touched every single one. You literally did that. So you never get Devin.
So
is that
I'm doing the pre-approval, and then when the contract comes in, I'm putting everything in based on the contract and running findings or whatever the case may be to make sure it works. Because in Florida, sometimes a 20-year-old can buy in a 55-year-old community, and I would have never accounted for $350 a month in HOA dues. So it's little things like that I want to catch up front. So once the contract comes in, I disclose the file. My loan partner takes it with my processor from contract to close. have an admin that helps with admin duties, but that's
Wow.
the basis of the team. I'm very much so a big part of it.
Lynn, what would you advise? I see you, Lynn. She's actually on this week, Thursday. So don't miss Thursday. She's a divorce specialist. I
want to get my divorce lending certification.
I know the person. I know the person, so I can hook you up. How to fill? This is a great question. What advice would you say to a new LO on how to fill the room with attendees? Like, how'd you do that?
Well, so that's why I went straight to the brokers and so I was going into their office meetings. Because a lot of times, I mean, and that was pre-COVID, so the office meetings were more in person and stuff. But I've done the presentation via Zoom through an office meeting. But I went straight to the brokers because they fill the rooms for me. Gotcha. Now that I have the following in the presence, I can put out an evite or an invite or whatever, and I can fill a room with 100 different agents from different brokerages around because they've all seen me. But at first, nobody knew who Kristen Jameson was. So that's why I went this more small, intimate, guaranteed to have people there rooms.
You still doing the reverse purchase presentation?
Yeah.
Is that what you're going to do the next 3 coming up? Yeah. You can do that. Yeah. And is it okay if once you get the presentation done, if we share that?
Absolutely. Cool. But yeah, like I said, I mean, well, you told me that I needed to invest in a videographer and make small clips, and I'm listening. I'm listening.
Are you serious? You're gonna do like reels and stuff at your presentation? Oh my! Here comes 100 million. Hello! Wow, we're gonna have to expand your reach there. Bigger cup.
Yes.
So let's see. So Monica, maybe you missed, but so I'll how do you market the reverse mortgages? How does that call go? How did that go when you first made that call to the broker? Did you just call the broker owner, or did you call an agent that was with the broker? And then, hey, who's your broker owner? How does that go?
Well, no. So I did a lot of research and called the broker owners directly, and it's sad how many people don't have their contact information anywhere online. But you do enough research and enough stalking on Facebook or in LinkedIn, and like you can find a way to get through to anybody. There were a few offices I wanted to get into and I couldn't get in. So then I just started dropping by a couple of times a week and talking to their gatekeeper, and made friends with the gatekeepers. And then they would put me in contact with the brokers.
Now, wait a minute. So like there's so many nuggets here. So you just stop in, you talk to the front desk, who's ever at the front desk. How do you befriend them? Like how does that look like? You take them a blueberry pie? Like what do you?
Well, I mean, sometimes I would have little pop by fun gifts to like leave so they could leave out for their agents or whatever. But most of the time I was just showing up to just chat and see how they were doing, because they get bored sitting up there. It's not like real estate offices' phones are ringing off the hook for the front office person. So they get bored. And especially on days like, I mean, you go in on a Friday afternoon, nobody's in the office. It's just them. Like you kind of find the days where people aren't there and you just make small talk. Like, again, I was looking for friends as much as I was looking for business. And in most real estate offices, the gatekeepers are middle-aged women, without trying to profile anybody. But so it's just, I had a lot in common. I could talk about their shoes. We could talk about real estate. And I rarely ever talked about mortgages to them. But I just knew that I had something to offer that nobody else was offering them, and they needed me more than I needed them.
From the heart. Wow. Oof. I don't know about you, Devin, but I got chills on that one. That's deep.
That's deep. Hey, I want to say something too. You mentioned, folks not putting their phone and email and identification out there. Hey, if you're on this call right now, go check out your Facebook profile and your Instagram profile. And if you don't have a link tree or something with your phone number, your email address to where people get in front of you, go fix that right now. Right? Yeah. Like you want to be available
and help your
social media is your business card in 2025, right? So go fix that if you haven't done that already.
Amen. Hey, Mary's asking, do you own, let's see, where is it at? Do you own your own mortgage branch or work for a lender or broker?
So I work for an independent mortgage bank. I am a small branch in Central Florida with our corporate office being in Michigan.
Gotcha. Cool. And this is the part I love the most. Like Jerry's asking, how did you get we have an in-house lender? This is the and this was the part you missed. Like they were calling her. Actually.
Well, so the in-house lenders oftentimes don't have broker capabilities. So they don't have the DSCR loans, the other programs that we have. But none of them do reverse mortgages at all.
None of them.
So I was a value add to their agents. So they were bringing me in to add value to their agents is what they thought until I took all their business.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
The Trojan,
what an amazing story, man. Yeah. Sell the love, build the relationships. But so what, so after you present, we just got a couple minutes left. After you would present at an office, however many were there, broker owner would invite you, probably introduce you. So now you have clout, like, hey, the broker, I don't need an introduction. The broker owner trusts me enough to come in and talk about reverse purchase. What would the follow-up look like? Would you call each one and go, hey, just want to see if you had any questions, or what did that look like?
Well, so the report cards that I handed out at the end, asked some of the questions like, do you need help with following up to your database? Do you need help with, what can I help you with? Or they would rate themselves on a scale of 1 to 5. So I knew what I was following up for. Very rarely did anybody turn in the form and not give me some sort of indication of how I could help them grow their business or how I could best follow up with them.
Was that the Agent Mastermind report card?
It was.
Beautiful. Okay. Yeah. I'll make sure I put that in the file. Yeah. Okay, cool.
No, right. I did not reinvent the wheel for anything. Like I just became friends with people that were doing what I wanted to do and followed the lead.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, I mean, like, that's all I do. I just hang out with smarter people like you. So like you blew my mind with everything you've done and how you put yourself out there and overcome the fear of failure, fear of the unknown, fear of rejection. You just did it. And amazing things happen. So, any other, let's see. Yeah. Eddie Skinner, we're soon as she gets it redone, because I think I still have a copy of the one you did way back, but I'm sure a lot has changed. 12 years ago.
Well, I'll throw it out there too, Eddie. If you want to build a presentation, there's this little friend, ChatGPT, and if you tell it what you're looking for, like reverse mortgage purchase presentation, it's amazing what it can come up with if you just do a little prompt stacking. So just food for thought.
I mean, if you heard this today and if it was me and I was like, all right, I'm going to go like get in front of a bunch of broker owners, which means a bunch of agents. Kristen said it. They don't do reverse mortgages. None of them. So anything else, Kristen, that you want to leave us with? Because your brilliance is always welcome here on the show. So thank you so much for being you and doing. I can't wait to see these reels, man. This is the first I'm hearing of this, Devin. So I'm super stoked.
Well, you've been talking about it for 2
Kristen
weeks.
On video, like I haven't really been on video since before the pandemic, so like this is a big deal for me.
It's a big deal.
You're killing it, girl.
Well, no, at the end of the day, like if I'm just, like I said, I'm just a small town girl from Kansas City, moved to a new market. If I can do it, anybody can do it. It's just you have to want to. Yeah,
good stuff. All right, everybody. Kristen Jameson, thank you so much. You're amazing. Can't wait to see you come back with a vengeance. Just do you, be you, and man, the right people come in. And thank you for sharing so much wisdom. And
hey, Scott.
Yeah.
Hey, Scott. Could I ask a question real quick?
Absolutely.
Of your hey, good morning, great presentation.
Thank you.
Of your volume, what percentage of it was reverse? What percentage was forward?
Big goose egg.
Zero. Reverse, man. What?
Zero forward. Wow.
Yeah.
So with that, I want to say thank you because you've given me another reason, another angle to call agents and have a lot of issues with calling. So off the beaten path and something they won't be privy to. Thank you.
Yeah,
nobody's calling and doing it. I promise they're not.
Just swipe and do. Put yourself out there. They don't know what you're saying is right or wrong. That's the beautiful part. Like Kristen knows what she's talking about. She processed them, but whatever's on that presentation, I guarantee you is going to be like perfection because that's just what she is. But they don't know if you're telling the truth, not telling the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth. Like, so help me. Right. So, all All right. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much.
You can't handle the truth.
All right, guys. So much fun. Thank you again. So nice to see you. And I'm glad you're doing good. I'm glad your kids are doing good. I'm glad everybody's doing good. So always here for you. And you're welcome back anytime you want to come back and rock the boat, because you totally rocked it today. So thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Bye.
All right. Whoops. That was the wrong one.
They not like us. They not like us. They not
Woo!
like us.
Let's go.
They not like